What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 115. My name is Bret, aka Enigma 911, and today we're flying solo. We're back from vacation. If you're listening to this podcast normally, you're like, what vacation? You had videos ready to go. That's called planning ahead, folks. Thanks to those people who joined me. You can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat if you're a subscriber over there. Join on the conversation. We'd love to have you. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. It's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. So you can check it out over there on YouTube or podcast services. Whatever tickles your fancy. Last but not least, hashtag ad merch store. Get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. Support us. It would be greatly appreciated, and we would love you for it. So yeah, we're flying solo today. Recently, I'm getting back from holiday break, a trip. So yeah, I didn't really feel like planning ahead with anybody. That kind of rolls right into our first topic. Kind of want to talk about the trip I took for the holidays. So Lady and I, we went over to Colorado and visited her family over there and spent the holidays with them. It was a good trip overall, obviously with the whole global pandemic condition going on. A little stressful with traveling. I can definitely understand that, but everything went really well. Definitely a lot of people still out there, but for the most part, people were wearing their masks properly and, being smart and being safe. Were there a couple outliers? Yes, of course, and that's unfortunate, but we had no issues. We were all set, ready to go. Nobody got sick. Nobody felt crappy. So fantastic there. So we went out there. We were there for about a week and a day, 8 days total. Beautiful out there. Not like sunshine and everything, but like compared to home where it's been 30s, maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, not that big of a temperature difference, but nice that you didn't have to wear the winter coat out. You could be a little bit more relaxed as you're out and about doing stuff. That was a nice surprise. We have been there before where it is cold as all hell and snowing a bunch. I remember one year we were there for New Year's, and I don't know how much it snowed, maybe a foot, and just they weren't clearing the roads super well. And we had gone to a hockey game maybe the following night, and that was just like really cold walking to and from the stadium. So it was a pleasant surprise that they didn't have winter going on during this time, but nice to walk around there. And we had planned, obviously, the holidays with her family, but we were able to go through some stuff for us, go to some cool experiences, I guess. So if you're watching this live or you're watching or listening to the audio version, you're going to miss out a little bit on this. But we went to, our first thing that we did was we went to a kind of a museum art exhibit called Meow Wolf. Now, if you don't know what Meow Wolf is, I'm going to be putting some footage in here and there just so you know. It's kind of like an abstract reality, like sensory thing. I don't know. That's a really weird to describe it. It's a weird art exhibit, but everything is just art and you're in like a whole new world. It's not like here's a painting, here's a statue. So there's that. So Meow Wolf is what it's called once again. So how it works, we got tickets for that. We're all there. And they have a couple different locations around the U.S. They have technically 4, I think. They have one that we went to in Denver. They have one small like ride attraction in one of their theme parks there. But then they also have the original one, I believe, somewhere in Texas. And then they have one in Las Vegas, which they opened recently. And each of one of them has like a certain theme or story that they're trying to tell. So the one that we went to was called Convergence. So it's like this big combination of worlds together that somehow all mashed together or whatever. So you get in the elevator, you go up, and as soon as you exit the elevator, you're like immersed in this world. So it's like there's cars around, there's all these like small different stores and shops that you can literally go into and walk around. And it's just weird, abstract, interesting art where there's people like different species of aliens or whatever that are running this one, or there's different things you can interact to, like push this and this will light up or this will spin or some kind of effect will happen. And it was crazy. Like, it's really interesting to explore all of it, but it's essentially just like, here you go ahead. And it's 3 floors of this. So we were exploring, the first area we were exploring is kind of like this weird cityscape. So there's apartment buildings up above, and like I said, all the shops and the cars that are in the area that you can walk to, and there's a bunch of different directions you can go. You can go in this shop that might lead to a different room, or kind of horseshoes out to another store, or you can just continue on the path and eventually will lead to another big set piece. So in this experience that we had, there are 3 big set pieces. There was the street view. There was this weird underwater / tree of life thing where it was a multi-level like tree that you could explore and go into and see these different art pieces. So you could be at the top of the tree, you could be at the base of the tree and walk through the tree and the surrounding areas. So we got to explore all of that. And then there was one more section that was like an interesting glass, like mosaic type castle. Now the castle spanned the whole 3 floors, similar to the tree, but they had like that one we didn't explore as much, but from what we could see, there were like cannons that you could rotate on top of the castle and you could walk through it a little bit. There were guards outside of the castle that were kind of protecting it. And there was just a lot of moving parts and pieces of the castle that were going on. And we had stumbled upon that a few times, but only explored it just a little bit. And I think one of the first times we saw it, we were way, way up. So we had like the top-down view of it. And it was just crazy seeing the scale of this thing in this building. Just insane. But that experience was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of people around. You kind of set an appointment for a time, but then you don't have like a time limit. It was interesting having that freedom of exploring, whether it was the time limit or like the direction you could go. But that was a little bit, I don't know the exact word for it, but it was a little rough having that many people there. Obviously with the world's stuff going on, I get that, but not even for that, but just as an experience. There's so many people there that it's a little hard to navigate and get from point to point. And then you can get into these smaller rooms, but you don't feel like you can fully explore it or take it all in just because maybe there's a crowd in there at that time. And I feel that was a little bit of a detriment to it. And then the freedom of exploring, going anywhere, once again, was cool, but also in a way was a little overwhelming at first, just because you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I can go this way, that way, I can enter that door, why is that door even opening? And then it might not even return you back to the same spot you started in. So if there was some sort of map or like a streamline to it, I think that might have benefited it a little bit more, especially with our understanding of like, what is there a story I'm supposed to be getting out of this or whatever. I think that would have helped. After like our first maybe 30 minutes of walking around, we finally decided like, okay, we're going to hug this wall and we're going to interact with every door. And then we're going to just like checkpoint our way around to try and hit everything as much as we can, or make sure that we hit all the points we're supposed to see. So there was that. One other thing that they did have, which is a cool idea, but unfortunately wasn't working when we were there, is you could buy for like $3 this little like ID card, something like a debit card, credit card, whatever. You buy this little card, and around the art exhibits, there's like a little mystical circle of light that you can interact with. You bring your card over to that, and you can tap it, and it'll interact with stuff. These were essentially like convergent points, I think they were talking about, which like explained where this certain section of the exhibit, what the world was about, their livelihood, what they did for fun, stuff like that. So I think that might have helped a little bit, or maybe kind of enhanced the experience of being like, oh, this is cool. And I think also it did also trigger some certain things. Like we did see there was a fortune teller like set up almost. There was a cafeteria where like you could talk to it and it would like communicate with you your orders and stuff like that. That was interesting. But overall, it was a really fun experience. I'm glad we went. I'm glad we had the opportunity. I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, it is definitely a lot to take in, especially with that freedom of choice of going where you are. Yeah, really interesting. I am excited to maybe eventually try the other ones. I think the one in Vegas is like based on a grocery store. Like everything's huge and you're like an ant-sized like person or whatever it is in the grocery store. And then I don't remember what Texas is about. But I think it's like a cool, like I said, it's a very cool experience if you like that like weird obscureness of like what is going on, or even like theming, like similar to how like theme parks do it, of just being transported into another world and like leaving everything behind and just focusing on that. Cool experience. So yeah, Meow Wolf was great. Glad we were able to do that. After that, the next day, personally, I got to go see Spider-Man again, which was even better. Well, not even better. It was still fantastic the second time. We were able to go to the Alamo Draft House, which, if you don't know what that is, very nice theater, limited seating, and it's essentially like you could get like a lunch or a dinner while you're there at the movie, or just more extravagant like snacks and stuff. But they really take the movie-going experience like serious, as of like no noise, no nonsense, no nothing. So the servers will all come around, obviously take orders and everything like that. But if you ever have an issue with something going on, somebody's talking, where like they get one warning and then they're out of there. And everybody's really respectful. Like there's, as far as I know, every time I've gone, every experience I've had, everybody's great. Nobody's like in your way, nobody's on the phone talking, etc. Everybody's respectful of everybody. So it's just a really, really good movie experience, obviously with the movie itself, but then just the ambiance of where you are and the setting, fantastic. So glad I got to do that as well. Like I mentioned, we spent the holidays with Lady's family. That was a good time, seeing all of those guys, playing some games with them. We ended up playing quite a bit of the Jackbox games, which they seem to love. A lot of laughs shared there, good times there. Played some Pictionary, played some Poetry for Neanderthals, which is like a mix of Taboo, but it's only one syllable words you can use, and you can hit the other teammate with a inflatable club if they mess up, so that just makes for more hilarity to ensue. But a good time, like I said, just a good time seeing all of those guys out there. And then what else did we do? Oh, okay. Lady's mom wanted to potentially get another cat. So we did that. We helped her get another cat. And I was a little worried about this, not because, I don't like cats or anything like that. Clearly, Artemis shows up on the podcast all the time. I love him being around. But I was like, oh boy, Lady's going to want to get another cat after this. But that experience was great. We went to a shelter and picked out her new cat. A lot of great cats there. But we went with Violet, Miss Violet. She looks very similar to Artemis, same fur tone and everything. But mama cat, 3 years old, tiny little thing. Very sweet, warmed up very quickly to us. She was kind of getting used to her new surroundings, obviously. But like I said, she bonded with us pretty quick. She did leave me with a parting gift over here. She got stuck at one point exploring, and I thought she wanted down. So I picked her up, and she kind of freaked out a little bit and kicked me with her back foot and gave me a little scratch. But other than that, it was great. It was a good experience, and it seems like her and Mr. Kitty, the other cat, are bonding very well now. So glad to have done that and kind of seen what that experience is like of getting a new pet and stuff like that, because I haven't done that in years since the rabbit back in the day. So seeing it from, I guess, an adult perspective was interesting, but it was good. It was a good experience there. Glad that both her mom and the cat are happy about that. And then the last thing we did towards the tail end of our trip, this was two different things, but we went to essentially like holiday lights, like walking through those and experiencing those. So the first one we went to was actually at the zoo. So you'd go through the zoo and walk through all these light setups. Some were animated. I'll put up some footage now too. Some were animated to move around and do different actions. Some were animals. Some were just up in the trees. Some were different, just art. Very, very pretty lights all around. But the cool thing about it too was, as well as the lights, some of the animal exhibits were also open. So we were able to see some giraffes. We saw a lot of like frogs and insects and fish because they was already inside, obviously. I think we saw an elephant. We saw a hippo. Just kind of cool to kind of walk around and experience the zoo, obviously in a different environment. Really fun time there. And the following night, we did the similar thing, but we did it at their botanical gardens. This one, a little bit more spacious, not path-wise, but it didn't seem like the crowd was there yet. We did go a little earlier compared to the zoo lights, but once again, very pretty to kind of walk through and see what they had done with their lighting. A lot of lighting that was timed to music and kind of animated to do different things. So I'd say both of those were really cool. While that experience was fun, even just walking through the zoo and the garden, I was like, man, this would be really fun to do not at night and not when it's cold. Walk through the zoo normally, walk through the garden normally, because both seemed very, a lot of love and care were put into those establishments, and it'd be interesting to experience them how they're normally set to be done. But yeah, the trip overall was a good time. A little weird changing sleep schedules with working nights, but good trip overall. We had a great time. Nice little refresh and like just reset of everything. Once again, glad to see the family, glad to see they're all doing well and hang out with them. And yeah, obviously top thing of all, nobody getting sick or having any issues was was the best, especially with a whole new variant going around, and seems like everybody's getting that stuff. So we got very fortunate and very lucky with that we took the right precautions and we're very careful with that. So glad to do that. But like I said, good refresh, good restart. Now back to it and looking forward to what's next.